Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Listen, I wish we were jumping on here for a Victory Monday. Obviously, tough loss to the Carolina Panthers at Lambeau Field yesterday. Listen, this team's going to be fine, man. We'll talk about that later tonight. We're going to go live at 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live with the guys. We'll break down the PFF grades, kind of talk about what happened, why did it happen. We're in the process right now of diving into the tape, and it's going to be a little bit different chalk talk this week. I think what we should do is really key in on, okay, what went wrong. It's not to be overly negative, but just to try to understand, right? If we're going to be criticizing the team, I want to do it in a constructive way where we can kind of actually understand, okay, here's what went wrong with the game plan. Was it truly the play calling? I know I say a lot, but there's been I guess I'll say a lot. There's been a lot of chatter. Man, Matt LaFleur needs to be fired. He's on the hot seat. We'll talk about that a little later this afternoon. There'll probably be multiple streams throughout the day as I've got the day off here. We can just kind of dive into each of these topics one by one. I put a poll question out there. I want everybody, do me a favor, go vote on that poll question. It's, do you want Matt LaFleur fired? Yes or no? And I'm trying to determine, am I in the minority by wanting to keep Matt LaFleur, because it got really, really loud on X. I think you guys would be surprised with the poll results. Some of you probably wouldn't. But what we want to dive into right now is this rumor with Romeo Doubs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know if you guys have heard about it or not. We're going to talk about, what does it mean? Is there actually some smoke to that fire? We'll talk about where the report started, and whether or not the Jaguars are truly interested in Romeo Doubs. We'll also cover the side of, do we want to keep Romeo Doubs? Do we see him as being a part of the future of the Packers? Is he just going to be hey, let's just keep him for 1 year, let him test the market and see if we can get him at the right price that we want him at? Or maybe the Packers just looking to trade him to create a little bit of a void there for Matthew Golden to step into that role as playing more of the X receiver while Christian Watson is back at Z. This is assuming Jaden Reed will be back sometime in the near future to play F in that slot, because the reality now with Tucker Kraft's injury is you have to kind of pull away from 12 personnel a little bit, I would imagine, and press into 11 personnel. When you say that out loud, you go, how the heck could we trade Romeo Doubs? He's one of our better receivers, right? So we're going to dive into all that right now. Just a quick little stream for you. If you could, first, let's do that YouTube stuff. Hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your morning. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on the daily, trying to break things down from different angles. We look at the tape. We look at the analytics, the advanced metrics. We look at the PFF grades. We try to cover everything here and give you guys a little more educated decision on whether or not, or a little more of an educated angle, I should say, on whether or not these decisions should be made in a certain manner. So again, not experts here, just breaking it down with fellow fans. Appreciate everybody in the chat. I see it's already filling up. Hopefully everybody's having an awesome Monday morning. Would have been a lot better with a dub, but hey, we'll bounce back, man. Everything's going to be just fine. So let's dive into it, man. Jaguars showing huge interest in Romeo Doubs. With this trade rumor, where did it start? Our buddy, excuse me, and I apologize for clearing the throat. The Rona's still hanging on, believe it or not. This has been almost 3 weeks, so we're getting better, though. Easton Butler, our buddy Easton Butler, put a tweet out. The Jacksonville Jaguars called the Packers again, in all caps, about Romeo Doubs last week. This is the third time this season they've called about Doubs. It's really interesting, too, because they've got Brian Thomas Jr., that young receiver that they drafted. There's been rumors that they were looking to trade him, right? So maybe that's just not a fit for what Liam Cohen wants to do with that scheme down there. You guys know Liam Cohen comes from the McVay-Shanahan tree, so he runs a similar offense to ours. So Romeo Doubs could step into that offense and just pick up right where he left off with Green Bay. And, we get all hung up and caught up in, man, we want these big, strong, fast receivers to win one-on-one situations. And that's just really not how the McVay-Shanahan scheme works, right? You're looking to scheme guys open. You're not looking to take 50-50 shots. You'll have shot plays baked in, don't get me wrong. But Romeo Doubs would be a good fit in Jacksonville. Again, you guys probably could tell by the tone of my voice, I kind of want to keep Rome. I don't want to trade him unless the trade value is just off the charts. You're getting a really, really good deal on a draft pick or maybe a player for player, that type of thing. But let's just talk about it. Let's dive into it, okay? And again, this isn't to say anyone who disagrees with my take is wrong and I'm right and vice versa. This is just look at all the information and see exactly how this shapes up here. All right. So let's talk about where Romeo Doubs is on this team right now. Listen, minimal snaps for Jaden Reed. He still has that 89.9 PFF grade. Obviously, only 45 yards on the season as he got hurt early with that clavicle. He was also dealing with the Jones fracture. They went ahead and took care of all of that. Yeah, we're looking to get him back hopefully pretty soon. I don't know how soon that's going to be. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat whether or not you guys have heard how soon Jaden Reed, what's his timetable looking like in terms of returning. But if you X'd him out of the equation and said, okay, Christian Watson just returned. He's now got 2 games under his belt. Christian Watson has been targeted 8 times. He's got 6 catches. His receiving yards are 143 yards receiving. Guys, he's averaging 23.8 yards per catch. Last year, he was second in the league, I think, at 21.4 yards per catch. You guys double check me on that. But he was only behind Alec Pierce in yards per reception. So Christian Watson is picking up right where he left off last year. That's a great thing. Obviously, he's that speed Z receiver. When we say speed Z, most of the time the Z is going to be lined up on the field side, which is the wide side of the field, opposite of what we call the boundary, the short side of the field, meaning the ball is spotted on that left hash, right? So Romeo Doubs plays X. He plays opposite typically. Now they've moved him around quite a bit this year too, but he typically plays opposite the tight end on the line of scrimmage, most of the time short side of the field, although sometimes you'll go trading trips to the short side of the field, what we call the boundary, and put the X on the field side as well. So just keep that in mind. So Romeo Doubs, right? 52 targets, 34 catches, 441 yards receiving. He's averaging 13 yards per catch. He's got 4 touchdowns on the year, and his PFF grade is a 70.5. Okay, so Christian Watson grading out a 74.7 as it sits right now. Romeo Doubs at a 70.5. He's grading out as your second best receiver according to PFF. Not saying it's everything, but again, we do take all these different grades, metrics, and put them all into one pot and try to come up with a educated determination of whether or not these players are where they're ranked, right? Matthew Golden, right behind Romeo Doubs at a 66.2. He's only been targeted 29 times. He's caught 23 passes. Now, when you compare the receiving percentage here, right, reception percentage, what you've got is Romeo Doubs at 65.4% of the time he's making the catch there, right? Matthew Golden 79.3. Guys, that's significantly higher. What that tells me is if Rome was moved off this roster and Matthew Golden stepped into that X spot and maybe you put Savion in the F until Jaden Reed is healthy, or you continue to press into 12. Maybe you trust Luke Musgrave and John Fitzpatrick to pick up the slack, or Tucker Kraft. Obviously, we should get information on that sometime today, I would imagine, on what the MRI said on Tucker Kraft if it hasn't been already released. We'll do a stream on that when that news breaks later this afternoon. So make sure you click that bell icon so you're notified when we do go live for that information. So with that being said, Matthew Golden, if he were to step right into Romeo Doubs' spot, I don't think it would be a downgrade. I don't think it would be an upgrade at this moment, although the numbers indicate it could be a significant upgrade, and it should be, right? Matthew Golden was a first-round pick, and the only thing we're lacking here are targets and scheming him into space. I know we took a deep shot at him yesterday. It was into double coverage, almost brung down a hell of a catch. I think he's this close to breaking out, so I'm not worried about Matthew Golden at all. Malik Heath, 6 targets, 6 catches, 86 yards. I mean, this dude, you're talking about a guy that makes the most of his opportunities. I would feel okay with Heath maybe playing that F position, maybe at times playing the Z and allowing Christian to slide into the F if you were to move Romeo Doubs. So the moral of the story here, when you look at the receiving room, guys, if you decided to trade Romeo Doubs, I think your receiving room will still be okay. However, does trading Romeo Doubs, let's say for a 5th-round pick or even a 3rd-round pick, does that help this Packers team win the Super Bowl this year? Now, some people are starting to pull back and go, this isn't a Super Bowl team yet, right? The window's open, absolutely. I think we would all agree there. And they could go on a run like the 2010 Packers did, like the 1996 Packers did, and start to, okay, bang, they're going to step right into, we're a championship caliber team. That could happen. But on the other side, if someone looks at it and goes, I feel like we're a year away, I can understand that opinion too. I don't necessarily agree with it. I feel like the window is wide open. And that's why anything less than a second round pick, I want to keep Romeo Doubs. I think having that veteran leadership in the wide receiver room and someone that Jordan Love trusts. And I know Romeo's getting raked over the coals for giving up on that play yesterday on that fourth down, where if you watch the all 22, man, you could see the casuals really jumping on Jordan Love for that fourth and whatever it was, where he runs around the field for what felt like a minute and a half and then just chucks it up to Dobby. Dobby kind of gives up, man. He just kind of sits in the back of the end zone. He actually runs out of bounds, sits in the back of the end zone, and it should have been an interception. But in that specific situation, if you're Jordan Love, you watch the all 22. If you're Jordan Love, you can understand where he's coming from. Like, there was no one open. He scrambles, tries to make a play happen. Romeo has been running now for what felt like 20 seconds, right? He just kind of stops on a play. Jordan chucks it up to his most trusted receiver, and it should have been picked off. But if it does get picked off and Romeo's doing what he's supposed to do and fighting for the ball, that guy just gets tackled in the end zone. And it is what it is. You decided to go for it on fourth down. I wish they would have kicked the field goal. You guys know I'm a boring fan. It seems like most Packer fans think Matt LaFleur isn't aggressive enough. I feel like in situations like that, he's too aggressive, and that's where we're just going to have to agree to disagree. You take the field goal there. I don't like doing this, but at the end of the game, you end up losing by a game-winning field goal, right? You take that field goal there, maybe you end up winning the ball game or it goes to overtime. Again, this is Monday morning quarterbacking at its best, and that's what we do as sports fans, right? So let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with that take, right? So moving along, what has Romeo done this year? Starting in week 1, 74, 64, 51, 62, 72, 65, 75, 68. So again, man, when you look at his grades here, guys, throughout the course of this young year, well, I mean, we're halfway through the year now. It's not young anymore. To the halfway point, his floor was 51, but that's the only time he graded outside of the 60s, and his ceiling has been 75. That's, to me, guys, and he's grading out a 70.5 on the year. That's a player you could really use. You could really use Romeo down a championship run stretch. Now, the problem we run into here, and again, you look at the season grades starting in 2022, 62, 73, 69, 70. You know what you got with Romeo. The problem we're running into with Romeo is this his ceiling, and are we willing to overpay? I think everybody would say he's a good receiver, right? I don't think there's anybody in the comments, maybe I'm wrong, that would say Romeo Doubs is a bad receiver or isn't good, right? However, are you willing to overpay for good at the receiver position? For me, it's no, because you just drafted a first-round pick. You got Christian Watson back. He's got 2 years left on his deal now with the extension, the mini extension they signed there. You'll have Jaden Reed coming back, who's been your best receiver the last 2 years ever since he entered the league. Why would you overpay for good? You're willing to overpay for great. You're willing to overpay for Micah Parsons, right? A great football player. You guys know NFC Player of the Month. I know it seems on the surface like he had a bad game yesterday. Even great players have bad games from time to time. However, you're willing to overpay for great. You're not willing to overpay for good. Romeo is good. So how much are you willing to pay, right? And when you cross-check here, where does Romeo rank in the NFL when you remove some of the noise? He is 28th in receiving yards at 441 yards receiving. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And then when you notice the catch rate over expected, Romeo is sitting, actually, according to this, he's sitting at a plus 7% catch rate over expected. You see some of these players above him, guys, his 7%, then you got 6.9, 3.2, 1, negative 7.8. So he's grading out pretty good there, right? Then you got a positive T. Higgins at a plus 8.7%, another negative there. He's higher than most of these players that are in that 20 to 30 range. So if you were to sort this metric by catch rate over expected, he probably jumps into the top 20, right? That's a positive aspect for Rome. Still, is it great? I wouldn't say it's great. Maybe catch rate over expected, it's very good, comparatively speaking to the rest of the league. Now, let's talk about the contract. This is the problem we run into, right? It's the last year of Romeo's contract. Now, he got that performance accelerator, a performance enhancer, they say. So his cap hit went from what should have been somewhere around $1.5 million all the way up to $3.5 million, which kudos to him, man. You earned it, right? That means you outperformed your current contract, and that's why you're getting 3.5. But the problem is here, he's an unrestricted free agent going into this year. So if you're in Romeo's camp, guys, you're looking to hit free agency, right? You're looking to test the market. You don't want to settle for a contract that's less than what you'll get on the market. I understand that's gonna piss some Packer fans off, and I get it. You know, you fan with your heart sometimes, and I do it as much as anybody. But The reality is his calculated market value is $12.7 million. This is according to Spot Track. Look at the comp players here, guys. I want to read these names, and you tell me if you think they are above average, good, very good, great. Where do you rank them? Let's just say good and great. Would you put them closer to good or great? Alan Lazard. That's an easy answer. He's way closer to good than he is great, right? Christian Kirk, way closer to good than great. Gabriel Davis, way closer to good than great. And then KJ Osborne, way closer to good than great. These are the comparable players from a production standpoint and staying healthy and all that, and age as well, to Romeo Doubs. So you got to ask yourself, guys, are you willing to pay Alan Lazard $12.7 million per year? Are you willing to pay Christian Kirk that, Gabriel Davis that, KJ Osborne that? When you remove our love for Romeo Doubs, which he's one of my favorite players, I'm going to be honest with you, man. His personality, we've got more drops on him on the show than anybody, right? Absolutely love Romeo. But you're not willing to pay those other four players $12.7 million. I think we would all agree, right? So if that's the case, based off the base calculated value of the contract, the averages come to 3 years, $39.7 million, average salary of $11.5 million. And again, there's another step to this on Spot Track. You guys can go check it out. Everything averaged in with games played, games missed, this and that, right? It comes to $12.7 million annual. That doesn't mean it's fully guaranteed. Obviously, that's the last thing it means. But there's going to be a portion of that that's guaranteed. And listen, the cap hit isn't going to be crazy. First year, you could probably get away with $6-7 million against the cap. Second year, it'll probably balloon to about the $12 million mark. Third year will probably go up to $15 million. But now you can start moving money. The point is, if you want Romeo, you can afford to sign him, right? But now it becomes, do you keep taking snaps away from Matthew Golden, right? We just showed you he's got a higher receiving percentage, right, than Romeo. Let's see where it's at here. Here we go. So Matthew Golden is kind of primed to break out here. He's on a 4-year deal. If you can get draft capital for Romeo, this makes a lot of sense. The big question here, guys, with this rumor to Jacksonville, what are they actually offering? I haven't seen any report of that. If you guys have seen it, let us know in the comments. But they did call 3 times, including as recent as last week. They're very interested in Romeo Doubs. My personal opinion, and I want to get everybody's take on this, okay? My personal opinion, I would rather keep Romeo unless it's a second-round pick. If they're willing to give up a second-round pick for Romeo Doubs, heck yeah, I'd take it. Third round is appealing because obviously Romeo was drafted in the 4th round, and you're probably going to let him test the market, lose him anyway, although you will get a comp pick. What's that comp pick compared to what Jacksonville's willing to give? So I would rather have Romeo for this stretch. Yesterday was a tough loss. You're looking to try to bounce back and play better football against a hot Philadelphia Eagles team next week at Lambeau, Monday Night Football. That's going to be a great measuring stick for this team. We're going to come out of Monday Night Football going, okay, we are a championship caliber team, or we're not quite there yet, guys. And it doesn't mean the season's over. It doesn't mean they can't get hot and go on a run and win a championship. This may sound like a boring take because I'm not screaming fire LaFleur, and I'm not screaming we're going to go win the Super Bowl. I get it. I try to look at things realistically from a fan standpoint, analytically, all that stuff, and obviously with the tape. So we want to know in the chat, in the comments, if you're watching this video back later, let me know, how do you feel about this Romeo Doubs situation? Comment. Yes, I would trade Romeo for this. No, I don't want to trade Romeo. Everybody's opinion is welcome. Just be respectful in the comments as always. And let us know in here. And also click subscribe, click like, hit that bell icon so you're notified when we go live later, which we'll probably have another live stream in a couple of hours. I'm waiting for the Tucker Craft news to drop. We also got a Matt LaFleur video I want to put out there. So I want to go live. I like going live for this because I love the interaction in the chat, seeing everybody in here. I know like Rob here, Rob Westerman over at GBP Daily. He says, keep Rome. There you go. I'm with you, Rob. I'm with you, man. So let us know in the comments. Everybody's opinion is welcome. This is not going to become a toxic chat, a toxic channel. You guys know we run a tight ship here. If you want to come in and respectfully disagree, it's totally cool. But anybody who comes in here acting like a, you know what, you're going to get the boot. So thank you guys so much. Like I said, click subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in a couple of hours. Everybody have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. And we will see you in a bit. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack.
Here we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.